Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to another Wild Rift video. And in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys a tier list for every single role in the game. And see, this tier list is going to be especially interesting because I realized that in the current meta, in the current patch, which is patch 4.1b, that people really, they're very one-dimensional. This is the tank meta, I'm gonna run Twin Guard on ADCs, and all the anti-tank champions like Vayne is everything that's broken. And the answer to that is no, it's not only that, guys. There's a lot of other champions that are incredibly powerful. Like I made an AD Twisted Fate video, a full-on hit Twisted Fate, you could say actually. It's so broken right now. Like I didn't even know about it. And there's so many other champions as well. And I'll tell you my opinion about Twitch as well, because Twitch has a very interesting thing. And I think Twitch is probably the most misunderstood champion in the game, because I'm even seeing a lot of pro players, content creators that really don't understand the power of Twitch. But before we talk about any of that, just a quick word from the video sponsor. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. Have you ever dreamed about shooting down things with a tank? Or how about an airplane? Or maybe a boat? Whatever you can imagine, you can do in War Thunder. War Thunder is the perfect game to get out all your anger after some sweet games of Wild Rift. Oh yeah. Engage in crazy dogfights in the air and assert your dominance right there. You can fight all alone or you can fight with a team. However, bear in mind, War Thunder requires skills, math, strategic sense, and absolute savageness to succeed and destroy the enemy. Download War Thunder through my link in the description and claim your free bonuses today, including premium vehicles and a 7-day premium account for free. Alright, on to the tier list. So, first of all, let's talk about the Baron lane. And, you can say what you want to say, I can say what I want to say, but Gwen is still going to be broken. Like, Gwen is of course the absolute anti-tank champion, and even though I told you in the beginning part of this video, not every anti-tank champion is going to be broken. The thing about Gwen is she's anti-tank, but even if you're not against tanks, she's still unbelievably powerful. Like one of the strongest 1v1 champions in the game, especially in the late game. Like if you're playing Kai'Sa, for example, Kai'Sa is very, very strong at 1v1s. Normally Kai'Sa should be able to destroy a bruiser like that, but she's never going to win a 1v1 against Gwen just because of how broken the Gwen is. Like, so honestly, I think they need to change this champion, like really nerf her hard late game. Early game, of course, she's weak, but like late game is just so dumb. She can just 1v9 the game. So like if you want to absolutely 1v9 games, play Gwen. Next up is Jax, and he's honestly insanely powerful for a different reason. And that would be like, early game, he's fine. You go Grasp of the Undying with him early game. He's fine. Like he can hold his ground in the lane. Mid game is going to be strong already because of his ultimate. And then late game, I mean, you can do whatever you want with him in the late game. You can split push, you can team fight, you can do whatever the hell you want. He's insanely strong in 1v1s. If he has an enchanter support, he becomes even more broken. Like he fits everywhere. He even has CC. As I said, armor magic is just from his ultimate. He has the dodging ability. He has everything, guys, everything. I quickly want to remind you though, I am doing a skin giveaway this month. It's almost gonna end. I'm giving away 3 skins on YouTube. All you have to do is put down a comment under the video. I'm also giving away 10 skins on Twitter. Check out my Twitter to see it. It's one of my recent tweets in collaboration with another Twitter user, so check it out. So yeah, next up is Wukong, and Wukong, like, what can I say? Wukong is just, you can play him anywhere. You can even play him in the Dragon lane. Like if you play him with a Senna, you can even play him in the Dragon lane. He's broken in the jungle, he's broken in the Baron lane for multiple reasons. First of all, he's good against tanks because his first ability does bonus damage based on the enemy's HP. Or his own HP. I think it's the enemy's HP, but I'm not 100,000,000% sure about that. But his ultimate does bonus damage on the enemy's HP. It's like 16% of their maximum health per cast, and you can cast it twice. So like Wukong does really well in lane as well. He only really struggles against like sustained damage champions like Nasus, for example, because like he's not good at all lanes. Or like, Fiora could also win lane against Wukong, or like Aatrox. But besides that, every time you can bully the enemy with your first ability, you're never gonna get out-traded. Like, you win that trade against everyone. Especially when you get a Divine Sunder. When you get a Divine Sunderer, every single time you use your first ability is basically gonna heal you for like 20% of your HP. It is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'm honestly not sure how it's just not utterly broken. ridiculously strong Wukong. If you haven't played him already, make sure you watch my videos on him and pick him in the Baron lane. Because if you want to have an easy Baron lane, pick Wukong. Next up is Aatrox. And Aatrox is the complete opposite of Wukong. You're not going to have an easy time playing Aatrox. Honestly, I would consider Aatrox one of the hardest champions to play in the game. Because the hitbox is very small. Like the hitbox on the first ability is very, very small. It's really hard to hit. And just playing him properly is really hard. Now you're lucky that Aatrox is insanely broken as well. They did nerf his first ability, so it's not as broken as before. But he's still so powerful. Like he's so powerful. The vampirism that he gets. And as I said, if you're able to hit his abilities, his first ability especially, so damn powerful. Like early game is not that strong. But when you reach level 5, his all-in potential is really, really good. And of course, late game, you know, when you get that Amaranth Twin Guard, he's absolutely unkillable. It's honestly ridiculous. Next up is Camille, and they made Camille way easier to play, as you know, like a few months ago, they changed Camille where she's not like super hard to play anymore. And it makes her like really easy to play and really strong. Like, I don't like this change in my opinion. Like, I really don't like this change, but I get it. They want to make it more easy to play and stuff like that. But she's so powerful. Like, it's so easy to play your lane now with Camille. All you really have to do is just spam your second ability. You don't even have to hit the enemy on the outer edge of the second ability anymore. Like, you'll get most of the effects anyways. It's stupid. It's honestly stupid. Like, if you knew how to play Camille before, it's gonna be even crazier now. So you can abuse her in lane as well, really, really powerful. About Gragas, this is all talking about full AP Gragas, by the way. Tank Gragas is okay. I mean, tank Gragas is pretty good, don't get me wrong. But full AP Gragas is the real deal. Like, full AP Gragas is just disgusting. I want to go through some of the champions a little bit more quickly now, because I don't want to make this like an hour-long video. Fiora is fine. You know, Fiora is really good at 1v1s. The only weakness she has is team fights, but her split pushing potential is great. Mundo is really good with the new items. Mundo also works very well against tanks because his first ability does bonus damage equal to the enemy's maximum health. Garen is Garen. What can I say about Garen? Sett is surprisingly powerful. Not that good, but like still S+ tier. Renekton as well. He wins lane early game. But I want to talk about some other champions. Shen is very underrated, guys, and a very, very powerful champion. There's a reason that he's sitting on top of the S tier. So while he may not be the strongest carry, you know, because, you know, he's not going to carry games as hard, his ultimate alone is so unbelievably good because, like, if one of your allies is at least somewhat of a decent player, Shen's ultimate will make it so much easier to carry the game. So, like, for example, if your team has a Jinx, and the enemy team constantly dives the Jinx. And you know, the Jinx is a pretty good player, but he cannot really do much because the enemies are diving him and one-shotting him. If you are a good Shen player and you're able to constantly ult that Jinx, exactly, you know, when she's low HP, she's gonna wipe out the enemy team. It's ridiculous how strong Shen's ultimate is if you use it effectively. He's also pretty good in 1v1s in the lane. The only weakness he really has is his wave clear. They actually buffed his wave clear recently, but it's still pretty weak. So like, his wave clear is not very fast. He takes turrets at a decent pace, but like, those are weaknesses of his, I would say. You know, he can't really hard carry as hard, but like his ultimate alone really counters for all of that, because you can apply pressure on the other side of the map and instantly ult to your team and join the team fight. Next up is a champion that not many people appreciate enough, and I'm gonna make a video on him very, very soon, which is Khazad, guys. Khazad is perhaps one of the, I mean, what can I say? I was gonna say one of the most broken Baron laners in the game, but the thing is, people don't seem to understand how to play with a Khazad in their team. If they understand, they're gonna play it safe, they're gonna help you in your lane, and you're gonna carry every game in the late game. Like, if you get to level 13 with Khazad, because that's all you really need to do, get to level 13, you are gonna hard carry the game. There's no denying that. You're just gonna hard carry the game. You need 3 items and level 13. I know that may seem like a lot to ask, but if you reach it, it's basically a free win. And that's the thing. Like, if you reach it, it is a free win. Before that, you're already gonna be strong. Like, when you reach level 5, you know, you're already gonna be decently strong. But of course, level 13, it's GG. It's game over. Malphite is Malphite, stupid rock. Any interesting champions I need to talk about? I mean, Riven, of course, in the high skill player's hands, very, very strong. Although in the Baron lane, it's not as strong as in the jungle, I would say, because In the Baron lane, she has to 1v1 a little bit more, and she will struggle against some of the champions in the, in the Baron lane. Like Fiora will destroy her, Mundo will do good against her, Garen will do good against her, Renekton does good against her, Camille does good against her, Aatrox is decent, Wukong destroys her, Gwen destroys. So like, that's the thing. She's a really strong champion, but her matchups in the Baron lane are quite weak. That is why I've put her, high up in the S tier and not in the S plus tier. Darius is insanely powerful, especially because, you can play him with Phase Rush. You can play him with the Ghost Enchant. You have to have movement speed for Darius for him to work out well. But there's like 2 different builds you have to go for. Have I made a Darius video? Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. HellsDevil Darius. Okay, I see. Okay, I've made a Darius video. So I really suggest you to check out the Darius video because there's a new way of playing Darius. He's really, really strong right now. Like really, really strong. Vayne Baron lane, of course, shines still because people are still playing a lot of tanks. And if you are up against a lot of tanks, for example, if the enemy has a Vi, a Garen, and an Alistar, you just pick Vayne Baron lane and you'll destroy all of them. Singed, very underrated pick. Very, very underrated. I made a new Singed build, and you should definitely check out my Singed video because the new Singed build is insane with the new items, the Syrian crown and stuff. Definitely check it out. Late game Singed is ridiculous now. It's so powerful. And you have to pick it into certain champions, but I'm not going to go into full detail. I explained all of that during a Singed video, so check it out if you want to. Akali Baron lane, I don't like Akali Baron lane, but I have to acknowledge her power. The reason that I don't like Akali Baron lane is because she will struggle against bruisers. She doesn't kill them as easily, She will never assassinate a Garen. Of course, in the mid lane, she's going to assassinate mid laners. Like you saw in my Twisted Fate video, I died like 4 times to that Akali. But in the Baron lane, Wukong is not gonna die to Akali. You know what I mean? So Jax is not gonna die. So like, that's the thing. She's very strong, but doesn't really work too well in the Baron lane. I want to talk about Urgot as well. Urgot is a bit of a forgotten champion. I'm never seeing him being picked anymore. He's okay. He's not amazing. He's just okay. Sitting comfortably at the bottom S tier. He's just okay. Nothing much, nothing less. Nasus got better this patch because his early game... Wait, let me see. They changed... Late game, he gets less armor, but early game, he gets more armor and more damage. So, like, his early game is stronger. So, level 5, instead of side-pushing turrets, it's actually viable now to rotate to the dragon because you're already going to have a pretty good power spike because you're going to be tankier and you're going to have more damage. So, you can do that, and it just makes Nasus better. And late game Nasus is honestly still the same, even though they nerfed his ultimate's armor and magic resist. Warwick Baron lane, I was working on a video. It's okay, but it's not like anything amazing. I thought after I did the change it would be good because now you can last hit minions with your first ability and it refunds part of the cooldown. But there's one thing they forgot. It costs a lot of mana to last hit minions with your first ability. So it's honestly kind of useless because like after you've last hit like 5 minions with your first ability, you're gonna be running out of mana. So I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking when doing this change. At least, refund mana. If they apply that change, then Warwick is going to be like a top S tier champion. Because then his wave clear is going to be really, really fast. And he's going to be able to constantly heal up in the lane by biting the minions with his first ability. So the mana problem makes it worse. Sion is okay. He's okay. Nothing special. Olaf is okay. Yone is okay. Kennen is pretty good as well. Like if you have an all-in type of composition, Kennen is really, really nice. Especially if you're up against squishy enemies, by the way. And Kill, Kill is Kill. Nothing interesting to say about anything else. Yes. Yeah. Next up is the jungle. So jungle, okay, the S plus tier junglers are the most interesting. First of all, Diana. You can play tank Diana or you can play full AP Diana. Full AP Diana is probably better. She has an insanely fast jungle clear. And her ganking is very nice. Her skirmishing is really nice. So like 1v1s, 2v2s in the early game in the jungle. Her level 5 power spike is insane. During the dragon fight, she's very strong. And in the late game, she's unbeatable. As you can hear, there is no weak stage of Diana. There is no weakness. She assassinates insanely fast. Her sustained damage is pretty good as well. Everything. What can I say? She has everything. This champion is just broken. And as I said, if your team needs a tank, you just build tank Diana and you're gonna be fine. Next up is Evelynn. You guys know I hate Evelynn the most out of every champion in the game. I ban Evelynn every single game. And there's a reason for that. Every time I play Evelyn, I win the game for free, basically. You know the feeling when you're up against a good Evelyn. You probably know that feeling, right? Like, you just cannot do anything against it. Her ganking is out of this world because she's always invisible. And late game, she'll one-shot anyone. She doesn't even need her ultimate for that. And next up is Wukong. He's insanely powerful for a different reason. And that would be because he has pretty fast jungle clear. His ganking is insanely powerful. His early game fighting is insanely powerful. His late game fighting is even more powerful. You know, his sustain. He has sustain damage. He has decent burst damage. He has healing. He has tankiness. He has his clone. His clone is surprisingly powerful because it can really, if you play it properly, the enemies will never know what to do when you put down your clones. Because you can also, for example, putting fake clones. Because like you can stand still, the enemies will think you're a clone, so they're gonna run around. Meanwhile, you're just you. So it's just ridiculous what you can do with Wukong. It's really funny. Next up is Olaf, and Olaf is just really strong for one reason, that is his ultimate, right? His ultimate allows you to run right through the enemy, do whatever you need to do, and nothing can stop you for 6 seconds. And Olaf is just ridiculous because there is no counterplay to that. There is no counterplay. The only thing the enemies could possibly do is buy movement speed to outrun you. But Olaf gets bonus movement speed when he's chasing enemies when he activates his ultimate. So even that, there is no counterplay. And you have Glorious Enchant as well, of course. So Olaf is just ridiculous in the current patch. He has a pretty decent jungle clear. His ganking is okay, but his dragon fighting and when he gets ahead, oof, disgusting, absolutely disgusting how hard he can carry the games. Lee Sin is the exact opposite. Lee Sin needs to snowball games, but he's very good at snowballing games. I'm gonna be showing you guys a Lee Sin video very soon. Andres set playing Lee Sin, of course, also playing it with the new Nova skin. Lee Sin is ridiculous. He's a very fast jungle clear. He's one of the only champions that has a reliable gank at level 2, because when you have his first ability and his second ability, he's already a very formidable ganker, the best ganker in the game at level 2, by the way. So that makes him a very strong champion. Of course, his only weakness would be his late game, where he falls off hardcore. His ultimate is the only good ability in the late game, which allows, him to catch out an enemy and push him into his team. Kha'Zix, they kept nerfing Kha'Zix, but he's still ridiculously powerful. I mean, what can I say? Early game, he's really strong at 1v1s, but when you reach level 5, that's where his power really shines, because then you're going to upgrade his first ability, and the isolated damage is just ridiculous, because you refund a big part of the cooldown of the first ability if the enemy is isolated, and you just destroy anyone in 1v1s. Even if you're behind in the game, his first ability still does enough damage to just kill an enemy that is super fat. It is ridiculous. And then when you reach the later stages of the game, when you reach level 9, you upgrade his third ability as well, and you can assassinate enemies and run out of it immediately. So his whole playstyle was very interesting. Make sure you watch my Kha'Zix videos, by the way, because I'm actually really good at Kha'Zix as well. In the late game, his playstyle changes where you can assassinate enemies and instantly jump out because it resets the cooldown. It is really crazy. And now is a champion that you probably didn't expect to be sitting in the S+ tier, and that is Xin Zhao. Guys, Xin Zhao is the secret broken jungler right now. I haven't made a video of him yet, but he is so unbelievably strong in the jungle right now, because the only weakness Xin Zhao used to have in previous patches was his late game. His late game, he wasn't tanky, he doesn't do as much damage. That would be his weakness. But now with the Amaran Twin Guard, guys, the late game weakness just got completely removed, because early game Xin Zhao is Xin Zhao. He's gonna be super powerful. His ganking is insane. His jungle clear is very fast. His 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 is very nice. But of course, we all know in the late game he's not that useful in team fights. But with the Amaran Twin Guard, guys, combined with his ultimate, he will be so tanky. And when you combine it with his healing, and if you build a Divine Sunderer and the Spirit Visage, he's gonna be healing more than the damage he's taking. It is ridiculous. You're not gonna do as much damage, but just the sheer tankiness that you have as a Xin Zhao, and you just being so annoying to the enemy, already says enough. He's so broken. I should probably make a video of him very, very soon. Now, Gragas, same story. Full AP Gragas is broken in jungle. You can play him tank as well, but this is all about full AP Gragas. He can secure any objective. He can one-shot anyone in the late game. His ganking is ridiculously powerful, even in the early game. This dude has it all. This dude has it all. Next up is Shyvana. Shyvana is completely different. She's very good late game. She takes objectives very, very fast, especially dragons, of course. And now they changed Shyvana, where when she reached 400 stacks, she gets Omnivamp instead of bonus HP. And that one change makes her way more powerful as well. It's really, really strong champion. And the fact that she does true damage, by the way, also contributes toward her power because she's an anti-tank champion as well. Don't get me wrong though, she destroys squishies as well. So like, she honestly destroys everything in her path. As long as you're able to stack up pretty well with her. Just farm your jungle, like her playstyle, just farm your jungle. Make sure you check out my Shyvana videos because I'm really good on Shyvana as well. I really understood her playstyle. So like, if you just don't understand how to play Shyvana or you don't really get a lot of stacks in your games, make sure you watch my Shyvana videos because it's a very interesting playstyle you need to have with this champion. Kayn. Now about Kayn, they buffed blue Kayn really, really hard. So honestly, it's the blue Kayn that's sitting in the S+ tier now. It always used to be red Kayn, but now blue Kayn is actually stronger than red Kayn. It's very interesting. The assassination is so powerful. It's ridiculous. You can also constantly heal up because you can use your third ability in the wall and it heals up by a lot. And his abilities are just very, very powerful. When you enter a fight real quick, every ability and basic attack does a bonus magic damage. So like really, really good for assassinating enemies. Really good. Next up is Aatrox. This dude shouldn't be in the S+ tier, but he is because of how broken Aatrox is. Like again, with the armor on Twingard, it is ridiculously broken. It's ridiculously stupid what this champion can do in the jungle. Next up is Zed, and it's funny because jungle Zed is actually more powerful than mid lane Zed. For some reason, Zed has a very fast jungle. Well, it's actually because if you use two abilities on the same enemy, you refund mana. So like, he can constantly use 2 shurikens and 2 times his third ability on jungle camps to make his jungle clear very, very fast and very efficient. His ganking is very good because of his ultimate, and his late game is of course also quite decent because he'll have his ultimate up every like what 18 seconds or something like that. It's ridiculous. Nunu shouldn't be here, by the way. Nunu should be here. Rammus is very strong. The only problem he faces is true damage. If the enemy doesn't have true damage, he's very strong. But keep that in mind. You know, be careful with Rammus, because if the enemies pick Olaf, if they pick Vayne, if they pick Garen, Darius, all these champions hard counter Rammus. But if they don't have them, you're gonna be unkillable. It is hilarious how strong Rammus is in the jungle because of, you know, how unkillable he is. And his ganking. His ganking is very, very strong. He's one of the best gankers in the game. I think I made one Rammus video, but make sure you check it out to really learn how to play him. Because you have to be very aggressive, constantly roaming around and ganking. Because one of his powers is his movement speed. His ability to, you know, gank top lane, then gank bot lane, gank mid, again gank bot, you know, constantly gank every single lane because you're so fast. You know, you're not going to be wasting time trying to get to the enemy lane because your first ability makes you hella fast. Next up is Pyke. They actually tried to nerf Pyke jungle, but he's still insanely powerful. They made his third ability do less damage to jungle camps, but it doesn't matter. His first ability still does the same damage. His jungle clear is very fast. His ganking is very good. His team fighting is of course insanely good because it's Pyke, you know, he can execute enemies. So you can play him. I have a Pyke jungle video on my YouTube channel. Andres said actually played Pyke. It's really good. Camille jungle is okay. Riven jungle, now actually Riven jungle is better than this. Riven jungle is sitting in S+ tier. I'm not sure why I forgot to put her in the S+ tier, but Riven jungle is definitely S+ tier because she takes jungle very fast. Her ganking is really good, and you know how it feels like when you play against a good Riven in the jungle. Riven has hard carry potential, and as I said, jungle is the place for her, not really the Baron lane in Wild Rift, because jungle allows her to farm easily, and she won't have like the the annoying bruiser matchup that she really doesn't do too well against. Next up is Nunu. You know, Nunu is good. Tank Nunu is great. You know, you can play full AP Nunu as well. That's more fun, but it actually works in some scenarios. And you can also play hybrid Nunu, where you go for the Rod of Ages and, tank. Amumu, I only really recommend you to play full AP Amumu. It's true that they brought out new tank items, and a lot of people were thinking, including me, that, the new tank items would be broken on Amumu. And while they're not bad on Amumu, full AP Amumu is the way to go, guys. Full AP Amumu is definitely the way to go. His ultimate is just ridiculous, and he just does so much damage. What can I say? It's so funny. Like, you want to combo him with champions like Ziggs or Katarina, by the way, or like Galio. You want to, you want to all in with this champion. You want to all in and just one shot all the enemies together. Morgana jungle is okay. Lilia jungle is actually quite strong as well. The movement speed is so disgusting. Like, I really recommend you to pick Lilia against enemies that have skill shots. And an example would be Twitch. Like, Lilia is really good into Twitch because Twitch cannot ult into Lilia, because if Twitch uses his ultimate against the Lilia, he's always gonna miss his shots because he's shooting projectiles, and Lilia is of course insanely fast. You know, Lilia also works really well into like Orianna, into Ziggs, because these champions are just never gonna hit her. It's hilarious. If you play Lilia properly with the movement speed, the enemies with projectiles are just never gonna hit you. Shen jungle, I only really recommend you to play in trio queue. If you play with like a dragon laner, or duo queue if you play with the Baron laner, because jungle Shen has a really good jungle clear. They buffed it recently, and you can always ult, you know, your teammate who's going to be the hyper carry of the game, and it's really powerful. Like, it's really good if you constantly ult that ally. Jarvan, we're talking about full lethality Jarvan. I don't have a full lethality Jarvan video yet because I suck at Jarvan. I asked Andres as well, but he doesn't really like playing Jarvan too, so I'm not sure how I would be able to catch you guys a full lethality Jarvan video, but trust me, it is broken. It can absolutely one-shot squishies. It will fall off in the late game, but it just does so much damage. Like when you finish 2 items, you know, Yuma's Ghostblade and Duskblade of Dark, you'll already start one-shotting ADCs. It is ridiculous. Mundo is good in the jungle, the Vi is good in the jungle, Urgot is fine, you know, Master Yi can of course 1v9 games like always. Anything interesting? Jax, yeah, even though Jax is not supposed to be a jungler anymore, it's just such a broken champion that he still works in the jungle. He still works in the jungle, what can I say? Now, kill jungle is an interesting one, guys. Kill jungle works. You want to farm into the late game. You know what? I should probably make a kill jungle video to show it to you guys. I mean, I can explain it, but I've never showed you kill jungle. I've showed you kill Baron lane. I've showed you kill in the mid lane. I've showed you Yuumi kill, but I've never showed you jungle kill. And it's good for a different reason. If you're just able to farm up properly, have the right mindset, have the right playstyle, get yourself, you know, 3 items and get to level 15 as fast as you can. That's how you carry games with kill jungle. Rengar is really good as well. And now I want to talk about Twitch, guys, because you can only really play AP Twitch in the jungle because his passive does a lot of damage to jungle camps. But I still don't like it, because even if you get very ahead, hard carrying with AP Twitch is just not gonna happen. Unless you have a Yuumi or like a Lulu or like another really good enchanter. You have to have a good support player, so it's completely unreliable unless you're duo queue with the support. Like if you're duo queue with the support, AP Twitch is insanely strong. Like AP Twitch would be S tier, maybe even S plus tier, but only if you're playing with a good support. Only with a good support. Pantheon is fine, his early game ganking is nice, but besides that he kinda sucks. Same story for Gwen as Jax, by the way. Gwen is not supposed to be a jungler, but she's so broken that she still works in the jungle. It's stupid. Champions you should never play in the jungle is Fizz, Jace, you know, it's just so annoying to play in the jungle. Like, just don't do it. Next up is the mid lane, and here Khazad is even more broken. You can play pretty safely as a Khazad in the mid lane. Of course, you know, when you reach the late game, you're going to destroy the enemy. You know what's funny about playing Khazad in the mid lane? When you reach level 5, you're actually going to win. You're actually going to win fights against most mages. This is something not many people know about. Khazad wins fights against most mages in a 1v1. And actually, there's a video that I recommend you guys to watch, which is a video from Royal. He's a player in Wild Rift. I actually recently stumbled upon his YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description. If I forgot, please remind me in the comments. But he made a video explaining, you know, the most broken champions in each role. And I believe he mentioned Khazad in the Baron lane. But like, or mid lane, I'm not sure, but basically Khazad destroys mages. Like if you reach level 5, you're going to be able to 1v1 Orianna, you're going to be able to 1v1 Zoe, you're going to be able to 1v1 Ahri, you're going to be able to 1v1 these champions, guys. And this is only like, you know, early game Khazad. Really powerful. Of course, in the late game, he destroys everyone. But like, you know, the weakness of these late game champions is the early game, of course, but it's not even that much of a weakness with Khazad in the mid lane. Pyke mid lane is still incredibly powerful. I'm really not sure why I'm not seeing people play it anymore. He has insane wave clear. One of the best gankers in the game because he can just use his second ability to become invisible. He's not going to be revealed by a ward. Of course, the enemies will know that he's coming, but they won't know where the hell he is. But like he has his third ability and his first ability are both really good at ganking. So like he's, you know, his second ability gives him movement speed. Don't forget about that too. So like you can quickly shove your wave, utilize that movement speed to very quickly get to Baron lane or bot lane and gank, just gank. And of course in the late game, his true damage from his ultimate, you know, it does like 700-800 true damage when you're full build. ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Diana in the mid lane is really, really good too. Not as good as the jungle because she has a little bit bad matchups. But besides that, she's really good. She can shove wave very fast, and she can, of course, hard carry games, you know, with full AP build. Akali, see now, Akali in the mid lane is very good. Akali in the mid lane is very, very good because she can assassinate enemies pretty well. You only really have to get through the early game. If you reach level 5, you know, your assassination potential is really good. Because like, when you reach level 5, the enemy, you know, Twisted Fate, Corki, or anything, Zoe or Rihanna can never get close to you. Because if they get close to you and you just hit your ultimate on them and third ability, you're always going to kill them. Even if they flash, you're always going to kill them because there's just no escaping. But make sure you know your combos with Akali. Make sure, like, you really have to make sure you know your combos with Akali. I have Akali videos as well where I really go deep into the combos, so make sure you check those out to get good at this champion. Now next up is Annie. You guys know this is one of my favorite champions. Annie is always useful. So like, you know, we can talk about the good scenario where you get fed and you one-shot the enemy, etc. We all know Annie is good at that, but let's say you get behind. Even if you get behind, you're still going to be able to one-shot the enemy squishy. All you need is like 2 items. So like, even if the enemy squishy has 3.5 items, as long as you have 2 items and an ignite and a proto belt, you're gonna one-shot them. You're gonna destroy them. That's the beauty of Annie. So like, you're always gonna be able to provide value. And even like, let's say you're really behind, you can still provide massive value by buying anti-heal. You buy anti-heal and your bear, which does AoE damage, is gonna apply anti-heal to everyone. So like, even in the worst case scenario, you still have insane CC for your team to follow up, and you could get anti-healing. So like, that's the thing with Annie. And if you're super behind and you survive the game, of course in the late game you're gonna carry the game, because like Rod of Ages plus Rabadon's Death Cap is already enough to hard carry the game. Vex is a beautiful champion as well because her ultimate really makes her what she is. Like, in lane she's fine, she can bully the enemy with third ability, but in team fights is where she really shines. If you're able to hit your ultimate on the enemy backline, which is what she's really good at, you can go in and just destroy them. The only weakness would be if the enemy gets stasis, so you have to be very careful of that. But if you just pay attention to that, you know, wait for the enemies to use their stasis, you can then go in and just one-shot them. There's no more counter to it, because even flash doesn't counter it, because if they flash away, your ultimate is still gonna follow it. If they don't flash away, you're just gonna fear them away and one-shot them. So like, there is literally no counter to it except for the stasis. Orianna, the beauty of Orianna is, while she may not be the strongest champion in the early game, she's always a reliable late game carry. And the thing about Orianna as well is she's never gonna lose lane pressure. She can shove waves very easily. So like, if you're against an Ahri, for example, Ahri is really good at shoving waves and rotating, right? But if you're playing Orianna, you can actually shove wave as well. So when she rotates, when the Ahri rotates, you can follow her. You're not gonna allow her to get a free gank. So she doesn't allow early game champions to apply pressure on the rest of the map. This is a really, really important thing. And of course, in the late game, she's gonna outskill almost anyone. Talking about Ahri, if you're not against Orianna, Ahri is gonna be really, really nice because she can shove waves very easily with her first ability. She's also very strong during 1v1s, and her ganking is of course very powerful. But now Ahri is actually also a pretty good late game champion, because whenever you get a kill or an assist, you get another charge of your ultimate. This allows you to be more aggressive, and it really allows you to go all in, because like back in the days, Ahri would have 3 ultimates. If you would go all in and get the kill, you can't escape anymore. But now you can go all in, use Protobelt, use all of your ultimates, use your flash, you get that one kill, you have another ultimate, which allows you to go over a wall or right back in your team. Or if you want to, even more aggressive. It's really, really good. And getting a kill on Ahri now also heals you up. Like, everything is just better about Ahri now. Everything is better and more reliable. She will fall off a little bit in the late game, keep that in mind. But still, even in the late game, she's quite strong. Yasuo. Yasuo can hold his ground in the lane. If you can play Yasuo properly, he can really bully the enemy if you can use the third ability all the time in the lane, because you'll be able to constantly build your shield up, constantly poke the enemy with your first ability, and the enemies just will always be afraid of you. It's really, really cool what you can do with Yasuo. And of course, in the later stages of the game, I really recommend you to draft Yasuo properly, by the way. Don't pick him into Morgana, for example, but pick him with knock-up champions. Pick him with Wukong, pick him with Malphite, pick him with Alistar, pick him with knock-up champions. Even Vi, for example, or Lee Sin are really, really good, even though they're like, single target knock-up champions. Next up is Zoe. Zoe received a massive nerf, but she's still fine. She's still good enough to be in the S+ tier. And just just like quite a good champion. She doesn't have the one-shot ability as she used to, but she's still very, very strong. She has a lot of damage in the late game. She does crazy damage, but remember, it's not one-shotting damage. Yone, I would say, is a bit of a worse Yasuo, but still, his ultimate is very, very good. He does a lot of damage. His laning is fine. His ganking is decent if you know how to play him properly. Remember the Zealous video that I made for you guys? You should watch that if you really want to learn Yone. Katarina, of course, Katarina is Katarina. It doesn't matter what happens in the game. Katarina can always 1v9. She can always 1v9. Corki is very good. I still haven't made a Corki video with the new build, by the way, because there's like a tanky Corki build with Riftmaker as well. I still need to make a video of that. I'll make it, guys. I'll make that video. By the way, AP Ezreal video. Like, you probably don't believe me, but I'm still working on it. Like, I'm actually still working on it. I'm still testing out builds, because like there's so many builds you can go for. I'm still testing it out. I really haven't forgotten it, trust me. Twisted Fate. Irelia, by the way, no explanation needed, but Twisted Fate. This is actually AD Twisted Fate, on-hit Twisted Fate that I've put on the top of the S tier. AP Twisted Fate would probably be mid S tier, but I've skilled him up to the top of the S tier because of his on-hit build. It is so ridiculously powerful. I didn't know about it up until yesterday, but it is so unbelievably strong. It doesn't matter, tanks, squishies, anything you're gonna shred with this build. It is so crazy, it is crazy. The only weakness would be is that it's a late game build, because like early game you will struggle a little bit, but it is absolutely crazy how strong this build is. But the thing about the early game is, even though you don't have that much damage, you still have really good ganking, of course, because of your ultimate, right? Next up is Zed. Zed is very, very nice. Not as good as Jungle, but still very nice. He won't be able to bully the enemy as much in the early game, but when you reach the mid game, his ultimate becomes disgusting. And late game, it becomes even more disgusting, because mid game, at least there is a counter to it, right? Like, enemies can stasis and your ultimate goes on like a 50-second cooldown. But in the late game, his ultimate is on like an 18-second cooldown or so. So stasis is on like a 2-minute cooldown. So you know, that's the problem. You can't really stasis all of Zed's ultimates anymore. So Zed can just bait out the stasis and then kill you. It's ridiculous how much damage he does with his ultimate. And a good Zed player will absolutely abuse you. Now, Akshan is also really strong in the mid lane, guys. This champion is like a hard carry champion. Way stronger than most people may think. Like, especially because of his third ability. When I see a lot of Akshan players, they don't properly use the third ability. And the third ability, funnily enough, is actually the strongest ability Akshan has. This ability can single-handedly, like, well, not one shot, but like completely drain the HP of an enemy. It is ridiculous how strong it is. It does so much damage, and it also allows you to get ahead of the enemy or run away from the enemy, everything. And when you get a kill or an assist, it resets it. It is ridiculous. Like, if you can kill an enemy, if you can finish them off with your third ability, do it and then run away with it or continue fighting. It is crazy. If one of your allies dies and you kill the person that killed that ally, your ally gets revived. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. The only problem is it's a bit of an unreliable champ, because if you do get behind, it can get very annoying, because it will feel like you have 0 damage. Now, Veigar, on the other hand, it doesn't matter if you get behind, he's always going to have a lot of damage. If you have a good catch with this champion, you're going to one-shot the enemy, because if you catch someone with your cage, you know, you use your second ability, first ability, basic attack, ultimate, you're going to one-shot the enemy. It really doesn't matter how behind you are, you will one-shot the enemy. All you really have to do is just farm properly, you know, just farm properly and you're going to be okay. Brand is a worse Veigar, I would say. Well, actually it's different, because Brand does team-wide damage. Like, while Veigar is really good at single target damage, Brand does the late game damage to the entire enemy team. And while he may not be able to burst enemies down as hard, his sustained damage, like, he'll literally chunk down the entire enemy team to like 20% health. It is crazy how much damage he does in the late game. Galio, you know, you want to pick Galio into, like, you know, magic damage champions, like magic damage melee champions like Evelynn, Khazad, Diana, what is that champion called? Katarina, yeah, I guess those champions, Akali, and you'll pretty much always win your lane. Gragas, you know, yet again, AP Gragas, no need to talk about it. It is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. You know the story, right? Ziggs, I feel like is not being played enough. He's very, very powerful. He's actually he's just very powerful, and honestly I feel like he's very underrated. People are not playing him enough. You know, his turret pushing ability is very good, his bullying in the lane is very good, his ganking is actually insane because he doesn't even have to get close to the lane. All he really has to do is just use his ultimate, and that is like, you know, half of a gank of Ziggs that he can always do. Echo is okay, Karma is okay, Lux is very strong. Anyone that I want to talk about that's interesting? Seraphine, perhaps. The buff to Seraphine makes her much stronger. You know, her second ability gives a bigger barrier now. So like late game, when you play her in the mid lane, you actually don't upgrade her second ability. But like late game, when you reach higher levels, she's gonna be, you know, she's gonna do a lot of damage, of course. But her second ability is gonna be insanely powerful as well. The double second ability. So keep that in mind. So yeah. Next up, we go into the Dragon lane. And here it gets very interesting as well. Because I would say Varus is the strongest Dragon laner, not really AD Varus. While AD Varus is decent, it's really all about AP Varus, guys. AP Varus is just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. If you're up against a few bruise or melee champions that are not assassins, you just pick AP Varus and you carry the game. I had like a 80%, 75 to 80% win rate when I played AP Varus for the video. It was really easy to get good content for the AP Varus video because it was just so broken. So broken. Next up is Ezreal. Ezreal with a Riftmaker is actually really strong in the current patch, even without. But like, let's, you know, with Riftmaker, Ezreal is really good, where you just go for AD Ezreal with a Riftmaker. Ezreal destroys tanks. Like if an enemy tank is trying to dive you, you as an Ezreal can really do a lot of upfront damage before he reaches you. And of course, against squishes, he does a lot of damage too, especially with that ultimate of his. And when you combine a Riftmaker to it too, the ultimate really does a lot more damage, so because it's AP, right? Next up is Zeri. Thing with Zeri is though, you want to pick her with an enchanter, but with an enchanter she can absolutely destroy the enemy, absolutely 1v9, well 2v8 you should say, because the enchanter contributes as well. Really strong champion. She does struggle early game, but her late game completely compensates for it. Very strong champion. Vayne as well, really strong champion. Like, of course, you know, a good Vayne player with a Lulu is gonna steamroll the enemy. It doesn't matter if you get behind with Vayne, you can still carry the game because she has true damage. Like, it really doesn't matter you get behind. You're gonna destroy the enemies anyways. Next up is Samira. The thing about Samira is you don't want to pick her into too much CC, especially champions like a Janna or a Vi, because Janna, you know, she can stop you with her tornado and with her ultimate, and Vi can stop you with her first ability and with her ultimate, you know what I mean? So like, or Soraka, she can stop you with the silence. So you really don't want to pick Samira into those types of champions. But if the enemies don't have CC, then Samira is ridiculously broken. I think I have a Samira video ready for you guys. I'm not sure, but I'll check it out. Also, bonus points if you pick Samira with an engaged team, engaged support especially. So like, you want to pick her with a Thresh or with an Alistar or with a Vi in your jungle. It's really good if you pick her with those types of champions, because when they engage and you knock up the enemies even further, that's the whole power. Because like, as a Samira, you want to be the initiator of the fight. You don't want to be engaged upon, you want to engage. All her abilities are good at engaging on the enemy. Next up is Kai'Sa. And Kai'Sa is very versatile because you have, you know, single target damage builds, which I'm going to make a video of, by the way, very soon. You have like a mixed build with a Riftmaker, and you have just an AD build with a Runaan's Hurricane, which is generally going to be good AoE damage in a team fight. Just, you know, she's always going to be a good champion. Tristana, oh baby, Tristana is such a stupid champion. Like, what can I say? Tristana is always going to be good. Her only weakness really is the early game, but once you reach, you know, the higher levels, you know, you get like level 9, 10, 11, her range becomes so big and enemies just won't be able to catch her because she can constantly jump away as well. Just disgusting. And if they do catch her, she just ults the enemy and pushes them away. Next up is Corki. Yet again, because of the new build, Corki is very powerful. His early game laning is fine because he can bully the enemy with his first ability. And then his late game is really strong as well. And his dragon fighting as well, his objectives, because he has the package. So like, he really doesn't have a moment where he's weak. Of course, if you waste his package, you're going to be insanely weak during the first dragon. But like, don't miss the package, right? So yeah, as I said, his late game is super duper powerful. Next up is Lucian. The only weakness Lucian really has is his range, but besides that, he's very strong, very good at kiting the enemy with his mobility. Just honestly, overall, a very good champion. Not that much else to say about him. Jinx. the thing with Jinx is you really want to have an enchanter. If you have a Lulu on your side or a Yuumi or like a Janna, but especially Lulu and Yuumi, by the way, Jinx is ridiculous and she can absolutely destroy the enemy and hard carry the game. It doesn't matter how behind you are. If you have a Jinx Lulu in your team, they can always carry the game. Always. Literally always. Next up is Ashe. Ashe is a little bit of a weaker Jinx, but at least she has the ultimate, right? You can gank other lanes constantly with your ultimate. It's not going to be on as low of a cooldown as when you play support Ashe, for example, but you can still gank lanes all the time, right? So yeah, it's just a solid champion. Senna ADC, if you pick her, you know, with like a Gragas or Galio or Nasus or anything like that, it's just good. It's good. Now we're going to talk about Twitch. I don't want to overrate Twitch as much. AD Twitch is good on his own, like solid A tier. AP Twitch would be S tier if you have a duo Q Lulu or Yuumi. If you have a good Yuumi support or a good Lulu support, AP Trash is gonna be S tier, top of the S tier, not even S plus tier. So it's okay, but you really need to duo Q to play AP Twitch. AD Twitch is just a solid A tier, top of the A tier. That's it. What was I gonna talk about? Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn sucks. I really think Caitlyn sucks. What can I say? Veigar is okay. I mean, honestly, you know what? Caitlyn is actually so bad. Like, I don't understand why people play Caitlyn. Veigar is good. Jhin is actually surprisingly decent as well. Xayah is, you know, also okay. But like, then it gets... I mean, honestly, you know what? Caitlyn actually really sucks. Like, I hate Caitlyn so much. It's such a bad and weak champion. Like, her mid game is so unbelievably weak that I just really never recommend you to play her. And then all the other champions are just okay. Like Draven is really nice as well if you get to snowball the game. But I also only really recommend you to play Draven if you're in duo queue, because Draven with a bad support is like, you know, going to the toilet without a toilet seat. So like, you know, you can do it, but it's just really annoying. Never play Misfortune, obviously, really horrible champion. Now let's get to the support tier list. Here, you know, Yuumi is the real deal, of course. She got nerfed, but she's still absolutely beyond broken. Yuumi on a good champion can just hard carry games. Next up, I'm gonna do it. I don't care about the opinion of others. I don't care about the community opinion. Sona. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Sona is the most broken support champion in my opinion. But I did put Yuumi above it because I still think Yuumi is a little bit more disgusting. But Sona is broken. Like, the fact that I keep having a 70% Sona win rate throughout every single patch, like honestly even 80% in the recent patch, it should show you how broken this champion is. I have not been able to maintain that on any other support before except for Sona. Easily, like I'm easily winning games on Sona. In solo queue even, like I'm not even playing duo or trio queue with Sona. In solo queue, it's even easy to win. It's just ridiculous how broken this champion is. You have to know how to play her. Of course, you know, I'm probably the best Sona. I've never seen a player play Sona better than me. Like, this is one of the champions that I'm really good at, and you should definitely check out my videos on Sona to get good on her and win games for free. Literally win for free. Next up is Pyke. Now, Pyke is much harder to play. Like, you know, I'm pretty decent at Pyke, but I've seen people be so good at Pyke that I was like, man, you know, man, this champion is ridiculous. Like, S+ tier support. Definitely really strong. You know, his early game is fine because he can hook enemies and catch out enemies, but his mid-late game is where it's really at. He builds full lethality and it's even skills into the late game. Like, it's ridiculous. Karma support is very strong. She's very oppressive in the lane. Mid game she's good. Late game, you know, her barriers are very good. Her ultimate is very strong. She has so much damage while providing so much utility to her team as well. Just overall, everything is good about Karma. Next up is Nami. Nami is very nice as well. She has everything. She bullies in the early game. Late game, she actually does a lot of damage as well. And her ultimate is the cherry on top. The slowing that it provides is so unbelievably disgusting. Like, oof. Because, you know, you slow the enemy and you can instantly follow up with a bubble to knock them up even further. It is just crazy how strong Nami is, really. Lulu, really strong as well. And I even put her in the S+ tier. She used to be in the S tier, but like, honestly, S+ tier. Like, Lulu Twitch, Lulu Jinx, Lulu Vayne, Lulu anything, you know, Lulu AP Twitch. It's all just so disgustingly broken. Like if you have a good Lulu player, you know, Lulu can build a veil and give constant shields, and the ADC is just never gonna die, literally never. And the damage output is gonna be like doubled. It is crazy how strong Lulu is. Janna is also very, very good because of her damage. You know, her ganking is pretty good. The tornado to cancel out stuff, her ultimate to give a team-wide healing, and your ultimate to also push away the enemy main carry. For example, if a Riven dives balls deep in your team, you can just instantly ult her away, and she did her full engage and you just ulted her away. You pushed her and like all the way out of your team. It's really, really good. Also really good against champions you need to cancel abilities from. So like against Samira, when Samira ults, you just instantly ult as a Janna and you're gonna knock her away and you're gonna cancel it. Same against Katarina, for example. Next up is Twitch. Twitch is one of the only supports that can genuinely solo carry games, like actually do the damage that is required to be done. Really, really strong champion because he gets AP from his passive. And of course, his abilities, you know, if you're actually able to hit his abilities very often, this is going to be a very punishing champion to play. For the enemy, of course, not punishing for you. Next up is Senna. Senna is fine as well as the support. The thing is though, if you pick Senna with like an ADC, you know, you're going to be the support. You're going to be quite oppressive in lane, but you really need to make sure you have tanks in the Baron lane and in the jungle to pick that, because you're going to be oppressive, but it's going to be annoying if the enemy dives you, because you only really have one count. Well, actually, no, you know what? You have counters to that too, because you can use your second ability, your first ability to slow the enemy, your ultimate to get a barrier. So honestly, it's just good. It's just really good overall. Soraka is a very underrated champion as well in the support role. Her healing is unrivaled. No one heals more. Even if the enemy builds anti-heal, she's going to be fine because she just out-heals the anti-heal. It's pretty crazy. She's just like a really solid champion. What can I say? Just a very, very good champion to play. Basically, the thing about her, she forces all enemies to buy anti-heal. So they're wasting a lot of gold to get anti-heal. And, you know, they're delaying their builds just to deny your healing. And you're only one champion. Nautilus is very, very good as well. Very tanky, you know, good to catch out enemies. Just a very solid champion overall. Morgana support is way better than this. Morgana support is definitely S tier. And if you don't believe me, make sure you watch my Morgana video, my Morgana support video that I made very recently. I actually also had a 70% win rate on Morgana. So very, very solid support champion. And there's a few tips on when to pick her, you know, against like Blitzcrank and stuff like that, against champions with CC that don't have magic damage, like against Yasuo as well, against, well, not Yone, but against Yasuo, because, you know, he will never be able to knock you up or knock up your ally when you have Morgana, because he has no magic damage. Ashe support. Ashe support is very oppressive, and the beauty of Ashe support is you can constantly gank lanes. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. I love playing it. However, keep in mind, if the enemy has a good diving composition like a Vi or an Alistar, it will completely destroy you as an Ashe, because there's no counter to it. Ashe is really good at bullying the enemy, but she has no counter to getting dived upon. Nasus support, very, very good at bullying in the lane with your third ability. Late game, it's also very good because you're super duper tanky and you actually also do decent damage and you're shredding the enemy's armor. So, and you're also slowing them with your second ability. So everything is just going to be really, really good about it. Also, you have Rylai's Scepter, so your third ability just has a massive AoE slow. And your ultimate is a massive AoE slow. So like you provide insane utility towards your team while doing good damage, while being insanely tanky. Everything. Braum, you know what's funny? I had a 100% win rate on Braum last patch. I played 7 games of Braum last patch. I won every single one of them. Braum is really, really powerful, especially against bruisers. Because a lot of people may think Braum is only really good for his shield, you know, to block projectiles. And while yes, he is good to block projectiles, he's actually insanely good against melee champions as well. Because if a Darius is diving your team, you can quickly basic attack the Darius. If a Vi is diving your team, you quickly basic attack her. You can basic attack them very easily. And you can ult them and keep them within that space because the knockup is decent. But honestly, the icy area is the real deal with the ultimate. You apply an icy area for like 4 seconds, which really heavily slows the enemies. So you don't allow the enemies to catch up to your team, which is really good against those bruisers, of course, because bruisers tend to stick together quite a lot. Lux support is very good. I made a Lux support video very, very recently, so definitely check that one out. You know, you can carry as a Lux support. It's pretty crazy. Alistar is fine. Anyone else that I want to talk about? Blitzcrank is severely underrated because people that know how to play Blitzcrank are going to be able to easily abuse this champion to constantly get kills all over the map. Mundo support, only pick this into Thresh, because he hard counters Thresh. You're very easily gonna steamroll the Thresh. Twitch support, you can play AP Twitch support, but meh. And then Annie is also, you know, Annie, you never play her except against the Sona. Annie support hard counters Sona. So thank you guys so much for watching. I want to remind you guys to check out War Thunder. You can check it out through my link in the description. You can use my link for a free bonus pack and, you know, check out the game. Definitely play it because it's really nice to play between Wild Rift games because sometimes you just need to cool down and War Thunder is going to be the perfect game for that. So thank you guys so much for watching and I really hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you all in the next Wild Rift video. Bye bye.